Peace to everybody, back with another video. This is an update about Superintendent Eddie Johnson when he was fired yesterday by Mayor Littlefoot because she couldn't take it anymore with him lying, so she fired him yesterday because he was not telling her the truth at all. Chicago's top cop responds to his firing after he's found asleep in squad car. Chicago's ousted police chief broke his silence on Tuesday, a day after the city's mayor revealed that he'd been fired over ethical lapse. So he broke his silence today. And also after the city's mayor revealed that he'd been fired over ethical lapse. Mayor Lori Lightfoot, fired Superintendent Eddie Johnson on Monday, less than a month before he was scheduled to retire, accusing the top cop of misleading city officials and the public after officers found him asleep in his vehicle in October. So Lightfoot had fired Superintendent Johnson on Monday. It was less than a month before he was scheduled to retire. Also, the city, of course, accusing the top cop of misleading city officials and the public after officers found him asleep in his vehicle in October. So that's when he was found asleep in his vehicle. Johnson acknowledged on Tuesday that he made a poor decision and had a lapse of judgment on that October night, an incident he previously blamed on a problem with his medication. Johnson said he had pulled over because he was feeling lightheaded, later falling asleep. So he acknowledged on Tuesday that he made a poor decision and had a lapse of judgment. And this happened on that October night. He's also blaming it on his medication. Johnson said he had pulled over because he was feeling lightheaded. Now, why didn't Johnson call for help? Call an ambulance or something. He could have called his wife to come and get him, to take him to the hospital. At least they could figure out what is going on with him. But he didn't do that. Instead, he fell asleep in his squad car. Here's a screenshot of Eddie Johnson himself. Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson talks on June 26, 2019 in a news conference about all this other stuff. Alright. He called it a mistake, but maintained that he did not intentionally mislead or deceive the mayor or the people of Chicago. Well, how can he maintain that he did not intentionally mislead? Now, he has lied to her several times. And you think the mayor is not going to find out about it? Well, he did lie to her on several occasions about who knows what. But this one, he lied and said, oh no, I wasn't asleep. And the officers that caught him, they knew he was asleep. And this is a wake-up for Chicago Police Department, because now if your fellow officers catch you sleeping in a squad car or whatever, yeah, they're going to ask questions or something. I know in my heart that I have always tried to act in a way that is in the best interest of the great city, Johnson said in a statement, noting that he had no interest in fighting for his reputation. Reputations are not built in a day and not damaged in a day either. So he has no interest in fighting for his reputation. And he also said reputations are not built in a day and not damaged in a day either. So he also says that I have always tried to act in a way that is in the best interest of the great city. But you know, the city of Chicago is corrupt. The police department is corrupt. Of course, you got things going on in Chicago every night, and believe me, it's not a pretty sight either. I will simply rely on the reputation of integrity that I think I have earned during my long career, with the faith that we should all be judged by the entirety of our lives, and not on what happened on our worst days, he added. So is saying he said I have earned or no, um, for integrity that I think I have earned during my long career, with the faith that we should all be judged by the entirety of our lives, and not on what happened on our worst days. Well, Chicago has their worst days. Everything, things go on every single night in Chicago, and nobody is safe. Not nobody is at all because of what's going on there. An official briefed on the probe into Johnson's conduct told ABC News that during the traffic stop in question, the superintendent showed his police ID when asked to present identification. The officers apparently didn't recognize Johnson immediately. Once the superintendent showed ID, he and the officers exchanged some words, and Johnson said he was okay to drive away. The cops let him, raising questions about why Johnson wasn't given a field sobriety test. So now you got these two officers. They pulled him. Well, they didn't pull him over, but they stopped by his squad car, and they and asked for his ID, but the officers apparently didn't recognize Johnson immediately. Once the superintendent showed ID, he and the officers exchanged some words, and Johnson said he was okay to drive away. If you're lightheaded and if you're taking a medication that's making you dizzy, or if you have not been on a new medication, he should have been at the hospital. At least the doctors can figure out why was Superintendent Eddie Johnson dizzy, because there are side effects in the medications of 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 all kinds of medications. It don't matter what kind you're on. Every single medications have side effects. But if he was claiming that he was okay to drive away, why would he could at least ask for help? Look, I need help. I need to go to the hospital. But no, he didn't do that. He said he was okay to drive away. And I really don't think he was okay. Lightfoot said an Inspector General's report, which hasn't been released publicly, showed Johnson exhibited flawed decision making. So Lightfoot had the Inspector General's report, which it hasn't been released publicly, so I don't know how you're going to find that one. It has become clear that Mr. Johnson engaged in a series of ethical lapses that are intolerable, Lightfoot said in a statement Monday. Mr. Johnson was intentionally dishonest with me and communicated a narrative replete with false statements regarding material aspects of the incident that happened in the early morning hours of October 17th. So he was totally dishonest with the mayor, and she was really upset about it. She also said that Mr. Johnson was intentionally dishonest with me and communicated a narrative replete with false statements. So he was giving a whole bunch of false statements that happened in the early morning hours of October 17th. Had I known all the facts at the time, she added, I would have relieved him of his duties as superintendent then and there. So now she's saying, oh, if she had known all the facts, she would have relieved him of his duties as superintendent then and there. So she would have known before that she would have relieved him of his duties then. But she decided to fire him yesterday, so, and because he was totally dishonest with her, and he wasn't telling her the whole truth about anything. So if he would have been okay, it would have been okay, but instead he's saying that he was dizzy, he was blaming it on his medication, and he should have literally gone to the hospital to get help, but he didn't. So who knows what else is going to come out this time about Eddie Johnson, because you should never really blame your medications on something that that's going to be a false statement, because it's not right to blame anything that you really don't know nothing about too much. Leave your comments below. I'm out.